Really, addiction just really beats you up, mentally, physically, emotionally. It really wreaks havoc on your life. It's horrible. I really am so, so grateful to you and the team just for getting rid of that out of my life. I wish I had found, this 30 years sooner, but I'll take what I can get, and, so unbelievably grateful. It isn't as hard as anybody thinks it is. The only reason you think that is because of, you've constantly told yourself that you have to have this addiction.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It truly is. And you don't. You really don't. Like it's so easy to get rid of when you do it the proper way.
Hi, everyone. This is Nasya Davos, and welcome to this episode of Ask an X. Every Ask an X episode features an inspiring CBQ program member who broke up with destructive habits and found freedom. The X I have with me today quit smoking with a CBQ Nicotine Freedom Program after 35 years, and she's here to share her story. Please welcome Cheryl Ammar. Cheryl, thank you for being here, and congratulations for quitting smoking over 3 years ago.
Oh, thank you so much. Such an honor to be here with you. I just been in love with your program, and it's just amazing. I can't believe how much it helped me get my life back. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And thank you for your trust. Like I shared with you earlier, you've been such an inspiring story and example in our community, and I cannot wait to learn even more about your story. So take me a little bit back. Yeah.
Okay.
Take me a little bit back. How did you start smoking? How much did you smoke? Why did you want to quit?
Okay. Well, I was, younger. I was probably 17, 18 when I started smoking like full time. I did, casually before that a little bit, but yeah, it's been quite a while. And I didn't smoke too much. When I was younger, I was a dancer. So I danced all the time. So I was very active. And, I think that helped me a little bit with my health. But I started smoking more, and we just, got married, had a family. We have 4 beautiful daughters, and we were busy, but, smoking and be busy. And then later on, when the kids were older, I just kind of started feeling it more, So it was, I couldn't do as much physically as I used to. And so doctor's appointments and whatnot. And just to say they gave me, more medication to help me or whatever. But, you have to quit smoking. Like, I know that wasn't all of it for me, but it was a big part of it, And so you try and do it on your own, and really without help, it's pretty tough. You feel like you're the only one that feels this way, and that you have to quit, and you just don't know where to start and where to go. So when I saw your program, it was just a godsend for me. Yeah, that's kind of my background of where it's come from. And I never really tried different, like, a lot of people try the nicotine patch or, other ways of trying to quit. I never really went that way. I just kind of tried to cut down a little bit, and then and then I'd go back right up, and back to where I was smoking. It wasn't like I wasn't like 3 or 4 packs a day, but I was for sure 3/4, a pack a day, half to 3/4 of a pack a day. So that's where it came from.
Okay. So you were trying on your own with willpower or cutting down those efforts, but it was hard.
Oh yeah. I just don't know how. I always admired, like, you hear of a very few people that just say, well, I just said that's enough and I quit. And I was like, please tell me how you did that, because there's just no way I can. I couldn't see a way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also that apart from health, it's also that mental conflict and the guilt and the frustration, right?
That guilt, and I think I've touched on that before of when I started your program, and I remember you were discussing the actual physical, I think it was is a tobacco. I'm sorry if my memory's not great. It's
been many years. Yes.
Yeah. I remember you saying that it's a chemical, in the tobacco leaves, I think you said, and that's what causes the addiction, that we have. Sorry. And it was such a relief to me to say to myself that it's not my fault. You know what I mean? Because it's such a big fight within yourself. You're always fighting yourself, to say, I have to do this. I can't smoke anymore. And then the other half says, I don't know how to quit. I need help, but I don't know where to go. I don't want to try the patch. I don't want to try this or that. And so to relieve that guilt for me to say that it wasn't my fault, this addiction, and it empowered me to say, oh, maybe I'm not such a bad person after all, and that's what really, really stopped me personally. And I'm sure it does so many other people is the mental, kind of abuse you do to yourself to say it beats yourself up so bad that you don't see a way out, and it's just that endless loop of not feeling good about yourself. And so you don't have the confidence to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there is a physical component to the nicotine addiction, but most of it is the mental addiction. And on top of that is the mental frustration and how we put ourselves down for thinking we're not able to do this. And we internalize that inability, right?
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I remember one thing you shared with our members community, and I have it here because it really, really stayed with me. You said, I was also a shadow believer that I could never quit. I was not strong enough, smart enough, or I couldn't be happy without smoking. But you said I kept progressing through the program, and little by little, my subconscious was transformed, and I believed I could.
I think that's almost that is the biggest thing, for me that, helped me quit smoking from your program is just that, honestly, to say, there's a reason that when you have a cigarette, what it does to your body. And then over the years, how, I know you've said how much it's ingrained in everything you do. You go to the store. Well, I better have a smoke before I go to the store. We get home. Oh, I better have a smoke after we get home. It's just, I'm stressed. You go have a smoke, or, oh, it's, exciting. Let's go have a smoke. It's just ingrained in your entire life. And you just don't see a way to get rid of that. It's just so consuming in your life. Yeah. So for me, that was amazing to say, oh no, I'm going to try this. Maybe when I don't go before I go to the store, or, I'm going to try not to have one and see what happens. Oh, well, it's not that bad. It's not a big deal as much as you make it up in your head. You've made it so big in your head, these things, that there's no way I can live life without cigarettes. And it's just absolutely not true. And I remember you're saying too that the iceberg was really, big for me. That you say the tip of the iceberg, but underneath the water is all these things that the addiction is doing to you. That was huge for me too, because you think that, oh, it's just my fault because I picked up a cigarette 30 years ago. And, you berate yourself constantly for the choice of doing that. But it's a systematic, gradual, becoming that full-time smoker that you reverse in your program. That amazed me, because it became that, oh, like if it took these, how many steps to have this addiction, and then I can go backwards and get rid of the addiction. Wow, I can do that. Like I so can do that. And you guys, especially in the community, like on Facebook that we have is and Instagram, like you see the people that have done it and they say, this is possible. And that, that is a huge percentage of it also is you see the results because you can't believe it until you see it. Like people say that, but it's true. You can have faith, absolutely. But when you see all these people that have quit and they say, oh, wow, like, just do it, you guys, like, keep doing the program, do the work, and it'll happen. And it really does. It really, truly does.
Perfectly
So
said.
grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not enough to have the faith. You also need some proof that it can be done. So you can start internalize that proof. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know that one of the reasons why you decided to join this program, because you haven't done any other program before, you were trying on your own, is that I promised that it would be easy, right?
Well, that's that in itself, right? Like, I know that we talk about that that it's so painful, for people when they think that they want to quit smoking and they say, I'm just going to suffer the rest of my life. Well, that's not an appealing thing to want to do. Like you don't want to do that. Or you think, well, if I'm going to just want it forever, that people just say, forget it. It's just not worth it. I'll deal with this, addiction another way. But no, like that is exactly what caught my eye is the easiness of it. And when the steps that you go through, because you go through that, the addiction back. I don't like to say that backwards. I know that's not what you mean to do, but kind of you're reversing the steps of how
exactly
you became addicted in the first place.
That's exactly it.
It's like, yeah, right. So you say it works. Like you go backwards and you say, okay, well, I did this step and this step and this step. Well, I didn't realize I was even doing that. Like when you first, I'm not sure where it is in the program, but I remember when we do the book, when we have to write down your thought and your feeling of every craving. And I started doing it and I'm like, I'm missing something here. I just can't figure this out. And I remember I sent a message, I'm sure, I think it was to Jody or yourself, and said, I just don't get it. I don't get what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm sure I'm doing this wrong. And we kind of talked about it, and it was like, you know what? Like it's simpler than you think. Like the thought that comes when you go to have a cigarette, because it's so automatic now over the years. It's hard to isolate that thought. But once you do, you're like, oh, I have to have a smoke now because it's been half an hour or an hour, or, I'm feeling a little bit sad, or, whatever the small little instigation is, you're like, oh, it's really like that kind of basic thoughts or basic feeling. And you're like, oh, well, I know from this, program that this doesn't make you feel better. This doesn't relax you. You know, so many things started to fit into place. Like it was just all the puzzle pieces started to fit and it just worked from there, like all these little things that your mind tells you, no, you can't quit smoking or you're going to, when you're nervous or anxious or upset, you need that. Well, no, you don't. It's not true. It's not real. And so for you to say that to yourself, I'm gonna challenge that thought. I'm gonna say, I don't think that's true. I'm gonna see, so I didn't go out, and have one when I was upset or sad or bored. Bored was a big one, I'm going to find something else to do, productive. That makes me feel good, not negative that I know is bad for me. That's your, you choose, which way you want to go because now I have that, I don't even know, I guess confidence a little bit to say, oh, maybe this will work. Maybe I can try this, and then you get the proof of, oh, I didn't have that then. Oh, that was no big deal.
Yeah.
I felt amazing, so all those little steps for me was the big thing, you know?
Yeah, Cheryl, you explained exactly why the program works. That's exactly it. Because that's the difference between listening to a lecture or reading a book and experiencing a transformation. Because with the program and the building blocks, like all the pieces of the puzzles coming together, you get to change little by little yourself, not because someone said something, but because you had a different experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Very well explained. That's it.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad because that's how I felt, right? So
that's it. That's it. Yeah. So in the end, you did it exactly as it was supposed to be done. And the question is, well, the results speak for themselves. So overall, was it easy after all?
It was absolutely easy. And that's funny because the reason I have, I've said we have 4 daughters and they're all adults now, but 2 of them were smoking when I was smoking. And our third daughter, she said, she just quit one day. She said, she said to me, Mom, like when you said it's way easier than you think it is, that hit me. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And she did it. Like she did it on her own, like just like that. She was one of those people that I always wanted to be that just up and did it. And I'm so proud of her. And our other daughter too, she quit. And so it was, it's such a ripple effect, right? And that's why I, shout at the rooftops of anybody who needs that help, that this program is just unbelievable. And, I will say, now that I've seen, I know this is not for that, but for weight loss, for behavioral things, you nailed exactly what it takes to change the behavior, that you want to change. That's all there is to it. So I'm just forever grateful, and my biggest, I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, Cheryl, thank you so much, and thank you for recommending the program. I know you recommend it, and for your trust. I really, really appreciate it. And the most important thing, I cannot not comment on that. You inspired 2 of your daughters to quit smoking with your example. How? It doesn't get better than that, does it?
No, like it absolutely doesn't. That's just life-changing, right? as a smoker, and that was a big thing too for you because you were there. You knew what it felt like. You see other people that, maybe, you know, medical professionals or whatever, and they try to give you advice and, when they've never been there and they kind of don't know. And I don't like to say that, but, they haven't been in the trenches with you, kind of in that, mindsets of, they just don't know where it's been. And when you talked about that craving that night when you were at a hotel for the food craving, I'll never forget that. That was just, I know that was the aha moment for you. And it was for me too. Like when you said that, it was like, wow, I have the power to change that thought at that time to say, oh, that's all it is a thought. It's just a thought. It's nothing more. It's not a monster. It's not this big, vast ocean of something I have to fight against to quit smoking. It's a little tiny thought that we have thousands of every day, and that I tried to, my daughters too, they were, that was a big one for them too, is that easy. I'm not saying it's a simple thing, but like systematically through the program, you learn how to change those thoughts. There's so many awesome ways that you give, examples of ways to deal with that thought and how you can change it to a positive thing to do. And I think, that one's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you what was your biggest aha moment, but I think that was definitely one of them.
Oh,
with a thought, right?
that was the one. That was one. And excuse me. The other one was the addiction was the actual physical addiction, was not my fault because the guilt just keeps you in that loop of negativity and, you do not have any confidence to try. So those were my two big, things that really, really helped me.
Very valuable. And thank you so much for sharing, because those two are big moments and they also speak to the physical and the mental addiction. The physical, that it's not our fault that we got addicted because there is a physical component to it. And the mental addiction comes down to reprogramming the mind, recognizing our thoughts, learning how to change them, breaking our habit. And it doesn't have to be hard.
Yes. It isn't. It isn't as hard as anybody thinks it is. The only reason you think that is because of, you've constantly told yourself that you have to have this addiction.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It truly is. And you don't. You really don't. Like it's so easy to get rid of when you do it the proper way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an important message. It's not as hard, because how many people, and we've been those people, how many people, because we don't believe it can be easy, we never try, or we try and we're half doing it because we have that fear in the back of our mind that it's going to end in failure. It's not going to be worth it. I'm going to suffer for no reason. So we're staying stuck. So that's a very important message. And thank you so much for sharing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's just a self-realizing prophecy, right? That's all, it's all what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And then another, a big thing too for me is, now that I'm thinking about it, is the visualization. Like that was very powerful because, that one actually is the reason that I actually in the end quit. The visualization is because I wanted that side. I wanted to say, I want to start counting my first day as a non-smoker, second day as a happy non-smoker. I want to count the days. I'm saying, what am I waiting for? Like, why? I was down to like one a day. And I held on there for a little bit and I was like, why am I doing this? Why? why am I not taking that leap? And that was it. Like I wanted that visualization that I said to myself, this is where I want to be. And I said, that's enough. I'm done. I want to start counting the days that I quit smoking. So,
Wow.
yeah,
And it's been 3 years.
3 years. It's gone by fast. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel amazing. I feel every day I feel better.
That's
And what a
incredible.
beautiful gift. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So you inspired and actually helped your daughters. And I'm wondering what are some health benefits or maybe mental health benefits that you've experienced since quitting smoking 3 years ago?
The health benefits are just unbelievable. I couldn't do a lot before, and I got to a point where I was, just pretty not very active, and it was tough, and that in itself, causes you to go down the rabbit hole a little bit of just depression, and it's hard to look to the future, and frustration, and all of that it entails. But since then, it's just such positive, things daily and monthly. It is just amazing. And I think when too you have that mental, it's a monkey on your back. It's always there with you. And it's so unbelievably freeing mentally that you can just accomplish anything. You feel like you have the world in the palm of your hand. You know, I don't know. I don't even know how much more to say than that. It's just the confidence is amazing to give you the ability to try new things, to, you know, get out of that loop of I can't do it. I can't do it. And my family will tell you I drive them crazy of I have kind of a saying that I drive them nuts that when they say something, I can't do that. Of course you can. Of course you can.
Wow.
Why do you think you can't? Like, of course you can do it.
But you didn't used to say that before.
Never would I've said that before. No. Like, I mean, I was strong before, but, honestly, this addiction kind of really beat me up. It really did. Like, after a while, like, we had 4 girls and we were going from morning till night, with them. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful life. We were like very active and played with them all day. And till honestly, they were like older teenagers, and then that's when we kind of slowed down a little bit with them and they had their own lives and you don't do as much before. But yeah, that really addiction just really beats you up, mentally, physically, emotionally. It really wreaks havoc on your life. It's horrible. I really am so, so grateful to you and the team just for getting rid of that out of my life. I wish I had found, this 30 years sooner, but I'll take what I can get. And, so, so unbelievably grateful.
Of course, of course. So
Yeah.
you've stepped into your own power. You're
Yeah.
feeling better mentally, less of those loops that smoking was adding to them and bringing you down. And your physical health has improved as well in those 3 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just like exponentially. Actually, it was at a point where I wasn't able to do a lot, and my family had to come in and help me do a lot of things,
Oh, really?
and like I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I've been since our first daughter was born, and I take care of everything around here, and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, they really had to help me do a lot of stuff, and so I'm getting it all back. I'm getting it all back to take. It's coming. It's not all 100% where I was, but it's up there. I'm feeling so great, and my confidence coming back. That's huge for my health and my mental health. So it's just all around positive. It's just beautiful, beautiful life. Yeah. It's
Congratulations.
exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Huge changes. That
Oh,
was the one thing that created the ripple effect you talked about, not just for
yeah.
your loved ones, but for every other area of your life. How
Yeah.
beautiful is that? Yeah.
Oh, it's just amazing. When I think of that visualization that, you have a certain thing that you go to, and it's just every time you visualize where you want to be. And I had this picture of myself and what I was doing, and, it's there. And to have that realized is just, it just means everything, where you wanted to be, where you were down so low and where you are now. Yeah, it's just amazing. Miracle, truly. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
And Cheryl, what would you say? What are some mindset tips you would share with someone who maybe has started the program or maybe feels the way you used to feel? I'm doing it wrong. What's the point of this? Is this working?
Excuse me. I think a huge thing I would say to them is really listen to how you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That positive self-talk gets you so far. You know, you're just constantly, the guilt is beating yourself up so much that you really don't think you can accomplish much, let alone this huge mountain of trying to quit smoking. I think that's a big thing, is the mental positive self-talk. I'm a big proponent of that everywhere. Now in this day and age, it's pretty tough. Sometimes, a lot of times, kids and everything, and with the anxiety out there, but the positive self-talk is huge. I know from your program and everything is listen to it and try and respond positively and keep doing it, and it's gonna make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one for me. And little steps. It doesn't have to be big leaps. Your program is all about the little steps, and that's what it takes, because that's how you got addicted in the first place. Is the little steps. So to go backwards, work that program backwards, have patience. It's going to come, but just do the work of the program. Excuse me. Sorry. I have a little cold.
No
So
worries.
my voice is a little crazy. Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share your advice with people despite being under the weather.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah.
it's my pleasure. If I can help one person, honestly, like, that's true, because I love helping people. And
I know.
this is just amazing that you can reach so many people over the entire world. This is not just, in your province or, anything city, or this is global, and so many people need your help for this program. I think it's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And over the years, you've shared incredible advice, and a lot of your advice was around mindset and how you talk to yourself. And one piece of advice you shared that I singled out, that I think everyone needs to listen to, is this.
Okay.
You
Okay.
said, and I'm quoting you, to,
Okay.
to not concentrate on quitting, but to focus on becoming a happy non-smoker. You said, believe it, manifest it, and keep picturing yourself in the future, happy and free, doing all the things you do now. You said, is the switch in your mind from losing something to gaining everything.
That actually, thank you so much for reminding me of that, because that was one thing I did want to say today.
Okay.
Is that switch, because I remember you saying in the program how your mind does not want to give something up, even if they're getting something better. It has, that one stuck with me too.
Yeah.
And so I really tried to make that, and that's why I say about the visualization, was I tried to make that positivity. I don't know how you say that, but looking forward to that.
And exciting.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's the one where I said that made me do the leap and say, I'm done. Because I wanted that life more than I wanted this old life of smoking. And that was very important for me, is concentrating on that, switching that. I'm not quitting. I am looking forward to being a happy non-smoker. Right? Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Spot on. Very powerful. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No, thank you for, I wanted to say that, because that is such, you can go down different roads, right? With the way you think, and to look forward to that. It's so empowering, instead of saying, oh, I don't want to lose this. I'm going to be in withdrawal. I'm going to be miserable the rest of my life chasing that cigarette. That's where your mind is at. To, oh my gosh, like, think of all the things I'm going to do and say and be when this is behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. And how I'm going to feel about myself. Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah. Night and day.
Yeah.
Cheryl, and I know you shared some amazing advice, but what is the final advice you would have for someone who is struggling to quit smoking? They feel like they can do it on their own, but they're failing and they're internalizing that struggle, and they feel like there is no way out and I cannot do it. What would be your advice?
Oh my gosh, like 100%, 100% it's go through the program. I can't even say how important it is, because you touch on every single thing that makes it hard to get rid of this awful, addiction. And that's all it is. And to have faith that this program will work, I think is the biggest thing for me, because trust it, and because it works. It works. It's been proven time and time and time again. And just to give yourself to the program. It's not hard. It'll take you a little bit to get through the program, but once you're at the end, you'll see the light. You get it. You say, "Oh, this is where I've come to, and I didn't even realize I had to work through all these little things that this addiction was doing to me, mentally, emotionally, and physically."
Thank you so very much for taking the time and sharing your advice and your journey and your insights. That's very, very valuable. And I know that what you shared will help not just one person, which was your hope, but many, many people. So thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's such an honor. I've looked at all these videos so much, and they helped me so much. So what an honor to give back. And I pray for everybody that they go through the program. They're going to do it. I have every faith, because that's what you need to do. And that's all there is to it. You don't need anything more than this program. They're amazing.